So I have went ahead and highlighted what I changed after the lesson plan guide checklist swap that Jackie and I did. So first, what I'm going to do is go ahead and just go through my lesson plan a little bit. Some areas I expanded on in my lesson plan after receiving feedback are highlighted. Everything else was already there. So here's a little bit about my context and grade level. Some details about my students who will need adaptations. So my Common Core, the standard I chose was the Common Core standard, English Language Arts grade 3, presentation of knowledge and ideas, and I want my students to report on a topic. My objective, students will be able to demonstrate their learning by describing or summarizing what they have learned about the animal they chose to research using at least 5 facts in their Flipgrid video with at least 80% accuracy. Of course, I hope everything they report back is accurate, but I felt that putting with at least 80% accuracy made the objective measurable, and that is the goal. Language function is summarizing. They will be summarizing what they've learned. Have the TPEs. And then just for a future video with an actual class, that's something I would put, I would give them step-by-step direction, clear instructions. Okay, so let's start with engage. Using the funds of knowledge, I will begin the lesson with a short discussion about animals, posing pre-assessment questions as guideposts for what facts students might consider researching. So I had written that before, and then looking back, I realized I really didn't include what kind of questions I would have. So this lesson is designed for distance learning. It was a little bit difficult to kind of conceptualize how I would do it, but after getting some feedback, I think that my procedures feel a little bit clearer. So some of the questions that I would ask and some of the things I would pose to students, first I would tell them, okay, I want everyone to think for a minute about some of their favorite animals. Give them a little time to think. And then since we're going to be on Zoom here, go ahead and enter one of your favorite animals in the chat box. That'll give them a chance to get excited, be able to share with each other, participate. Then I'll go ahead and ask them what are some things you find interesting about animals in general. Again, they can put all of this in the chat box. What are a few things animals in general have in common? So I'm looking for things like they all eat, most of them sleep. Other things like they all are babies at one point and get older. And then I'll go on to what are some ways in which animals can be very different. And those will be more like what they look like, their where they live, those kind of things. They're furry, scaly. So that'll give them a chance to get their wheels turning as far as similarities and differences between animals. So then I'll try to express to them the purpose so that they can know why we want to learn about this. So I put, it's important to learn to report back on a topic. We want to be able to recognize individual differences between animals so we can understand their uniqueness. The more we learn about animals, the more we can protect our earth to keep them safe. And I think especially, any age, I think remembering that the more we learn, the more we can do to help. But I think especially for kids, they love animals and they love wanting to keep them safe and learning what they can do to make the world a better place. So I thought that was an important part of the purpose. In practice, students will have the opportunity to learn and discover information about their animals. And before I had said, with educational documentaries, books, approved websites. But then looking back, I figured, if we're going to be doing this on Zoom, that wouldn't really make sense because then they wouldn't be able to, I don't think that that would be too scattered for them to do within a class period or by the next session. So I actually went and found some great websites. National Geographic is one, PBS Kids. There's a really cool animal fact guide, Science Kids, animal facts, science facts. So I think that would be a really fun thing for them to explore. One of them too, I think it was the national, oh no, it was the PBS Kids, the Creaturepedia. That one was really cool because it has some stuff. It's a good website after, and after there's some games on there. There's some fun stuff. So, I like giving them resources that can be useful and fun for them to learn. So I added that, and then I realized I didn't put exactly how I was going to model the assignment. So while I'm on the Zoom call, I will use the Google Doc outline that I'll provide to them for my own animal, and I'll show them, okay, so here's what I learned about this animal, and pull up some of the websites. And then at the end, I'll show them how I did my Google outline sheet. And then I actually need to add too that I'll create my own Flipgrid so they can have that as an example too, because having examples can be so helpful. And then the evaluation. Students will be asked to prepare a Flipgrid video about the animal they selected to research. Students should be able to summarize their learning with at least 5 facts with 80% accuracy. So that one I didn't change too much in this section, but I think in the technology section I added a little bit. All right, so let's go to differentiation. Sorry, I always have a hard time saying that one. So some of the adaptations I made for my EL student, for the engage portion, I'll do some visual scaffolding on their specific Google Doc outline. They'll get a supplemental document, or I guess just supplemental things on their own document with a few keyword translations. I'll meet with the student on Zoom after lesson to check for understanding before they do their Flipgrid, because they're going to be doing researching, and they're going to start their researching while we're all in session together, finish it on their own, and then do a Flipgrid in the future. So I'll meet with them before they start theirs to make sure that they're on track. My student with autism, I will record a video with instructions so that they can watch it as many times as they need to and refer back to it. Also, will include sentence stems. And I'll probably provide sentence stems to anyone who needs them in the Google Doc, and they can choose to use them or not use them. My student with ADHD, I'll provide step-by-step written instruction and use this student as my reteller. So while we're on the Zoom session, I might say, hey, will you go ahead and retell the instructions, because I know that he's a kinesthetic learner. He tends to understand the assignment and expectations more clearly and takes a sense of pride when he can serve as someone. He likes to kind of play teacher a little bit, or the student I had in the past. So hopefully that would go good. Sometimes with students it can be a gamble, but I think it would go good. And then for practice, my adaptations, my EL student, they will use their supplemental information on their document to gather information. They can also use a translating website, like Google Translate. My student with autism and ADHD will have the same adaptation here. I'll have a quick check-in with both students before they complete their Flipgrid, so that I know they're on the right track and have collected sufficient information. That's a big part for this one, is more that they are understanding what information to collect. And then my advanced learners on this one, I want to give them options to gather more information about their specific animal, or what I think would be the most fun for an advanced learner is choosing 2 animals that they can compare and contrast. And then for my, evaluate, my product, the adaptations, my EL student will be provided with sentence stems to use in their Flipgrid video. My student with autism will be provided with sentence stems as well. And I'm going to give them the option to do a video with audio, just audio, written, or Google Slides presentation, so they can really do it however they feel more comfortable. The student with ADHD will be provided with sentence stems as well. I think sentence stems can be super helpful as an adaptation. For me, it's one of my favorite things for my own learning is knowing exactly how to say it. And I think as a teacher, I'll use that a ton. And then a few more things. I think I'm running out of time. I'm screen recording, so I'm not exactly sure where I'm at on time. Technology, students, I will use Zoom to meet for class. And then again, I will model an example. That's something I didn't include in the beginning, and I think that'll be really helpful. The assessment, students will use Flipgrid to record themselves. In a follow-up session, I think that's when, Jackie mentioned that there wasn't a lot of higher order questions, so I put some at the beginning. And then in this one, I want to pose some more questions that relate to how protecting the earth protects animals. And then my assessments, I will provide an outline worksheet with 5 spaces for them to brainstorm different facts. Students will then expand on their facts via note cards or Google Doc for their Flipgrid videos, whatever they feel more comfortable with. I know for me, if I am presenting something, I like to have note cards. And then the final product, students will record their video on Flipgrid and submit. Students will be provided with a rubric for self-assessment so that during this process, they can assess themselves and make sure that they are understanding what's expected of them and they're covering all their bases. I also added that I'll assign a follow-up where students can view and respond to each other's Flipgrid videos to show their knowledge and connect with content from other students. I think especially in distance learning, the student-to-student connection is huge, and it just makes it kind of fun. So those are some of the changes I made, and I think I put this at the top already about my description of how I revised my lesson based on feedback. The areas that I updated were purpose, modeling, practice, resources, and higher level questioning. And those were all highlighted. Hopefully this wasn't too long. I don't see exactly how long, so thanks for listening.